4 years in prison and then going to launch a extremely successful popcorn brand.
I was in a prison called Grand Valley Institution for Women. So because I wasn't violent and I didn't have a history, they put me in medium security. So you actually cook all of your own food there. Checking the mailbox was my favorite part of my day. I didn't want to like break any rules, you know. I was already on the knife. It's not like the big grocery for us hasn't been what's built our company. It's been all those different channels. If you can be creative inside prison, you can be creative outside.
Thanks for coming on the Shelf to Scale podcast.
Thanks for having me.
For someone that's spent 4 years in prison and then going to launch a extremely successful popcorn brand, and as we just spoke, you're also going to Walmart soon. I just maybe want to start off with when you initially found out that you were going to prison, kind of what was your mental space at that moment, and kind of from there, just take me from there to the initial thought process behind starting a popcorn brand while you were in prison.
After I got arrested, I spent a good year being mad, a good year wanting to basically like not go, you know what I mean? But I kind of got tired of feeling like that. Like I started to really believe in myself and my ability to recover. I didn't know what I was going to do in prison. You know, I knew that it was a good thing I knew that it was going to be a learning experience. And I saw it as an investment in my time, you know, like reading and all those things. Like I got to read. So I was in a prison called Grand Valley Institution for Women, and that's in Kitchener. And so I was a medium level security inmate. So because I wasn't violent and I didn't have a history, um, they put me in medium security. So you actually cook all of your own food there. And you have access to this like little grocery store that you have a budget and then you just cook all your own food. So I would take different spices and put it on popcorn, and then other people would join in and like make their own fun recipes. And in the midst of all this like fun recipe creation and just getting to know each other, we would always talk about jobs and employment. And that's when it kind of just came to me that I was going to start a popcorn company and help employ people that have been incarcerated.
Oh, so was it like, did you get a couple of people at the prison to try your popcorn? Were they like, this is amazing? Or kind of what was that initial, I guess, market research look like?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my friends on the outside of the prison would like print off information for me and like so I could read about the popcorn world and get educated. And so that combined, I would like call my mom up and ask her like what books I should read, and then I would get them from like the library because we had access to the Kitchener library. So I was able to really dive into the food business while I was in there. And then my current business partner, he's been with me since like the beginning. So he would also like print off stuff and send me stuff and research stuff, and we would design our logos. So a lot of the foundational stuff was actually built inside.
So by the time you were released, was it already launched by then, or like?
No, no, no. Like so I would make like different recipes like inside, and then when I came out, I would like do like little events and stuff. So because I was an inmate, I can't like run a business. It's not exactly condoned. So but we were able to kind of get everything built ready for a launch. And then as soon as I came out, I was doing like my first event within a week. So I started like selling to people that had events, and we didn't get into stores right away. I mostly did it as like an event-based popcorn business, and then went from there.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And if I'm not mistaken, there's no like, they don't give you access to internet. So you're doing books, handwritten letters, stuff like that, basically piecing it together.
Yeah, handwritten letters, sketches. Like our logo designs were sketched. My business partner's name is Ryan, and he would sketch these fun little and send it in to me, or he'd make like little designs on his computer because I'd snail mail, but I didn't have the internet, so I checked my mailbox every day. Like checking the mailbox was the favorite part of my day to see which mail I would get.
Wow, wow, wow. That's incredible. So then when you initially went to these events and you were kind of, what was the initial reaction? Was there like, people were like, they love the taste, they love the story. Of course, you have an amazing story as well. Like, what was the initial kind of sales look like per se?
It got really good feedback. We had a lot of flavors. So when I got out, I would basically buy all my seasonings like from Bulk Barn. I would go there, I'd even buy the kernels. And so I would change the flavors up like every so often. We had like a lot. We had like Nutella and like PB&J, like, and then I had jailhouse cheese, which is like the mac and cheese powder. Then I had like lemon pepper dill. I did like a rosemary parm, and then I would heat seal. I pop it with a popper that's like this big, and I had one at my mom's house, and So a lot of the popping was done there, and then I got a commercial kitchen so that I could actually sell it to like stores and stuff because I didn't want to like break any rules. I was already on the thin ice. So
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. And then what were those initial conversations like with stores? What were some of the things that they were asking you for, and kind of how was that process?
yeah, so I did an article. So I got a lot of press when I came out, and because I shared the story on my own terms, so I actually got a lot of inbound like response, and most of it was really good. Obviously there's going to be people that will never like you, and that's fine. That's just the internet. But I would honestly, I'd just go. I started with like local stores. Like, there was one near my mom's house called the Casual Gourmet, and it was like a little kitchen store. And but they also sold like some snacks and stuff. So it started small because like my shelf life wasn't that long that big at the time. And then I started selling to like markets, and I drive in like my car, drop it off, and then eventually I had to rent a U-Haul to drop off to all the stores, and I'd call these stores like, and it was actually pretty fun because I got to go to all these like, little towns, and when you start and you get to know the owners of the stores, and yeah, it's definitely more personal working with smaller stores than it is the bigger stores, right? So it's fun to go back and visit and see the ones that who supported you in the very beginning.
Yeah, definitely. Especially those first, let's say, 3, 5, 10 stores. I'm sure those hold like a special place in your heart. Even though you may be at Walmart now, it's like those first initial stores kind of kept that
Yeah,
momentum going.
yeah, absolutely.
Then I guess going from there, what was the transition like from, independent stores to like the first kind of major chain per se?
Yeah, so we switched to caramel corn because I realized I did a Chicago style and people really liked the caramel corn like the most. So I was able to actually find a manufacturer, which was like really hard to get because like manufacturers don't want to work with small guys. But I just like found one in Mississauga, and just walked in without an appointment and I meet the owner. His name's Brian, and I just tell him my story, and he's like, I want to help you. And so I started with something like 10 cases or something. Now we're doing like truckloads, but so that's what we switched to caramel corn because of that, because they were able to help us make flavors that could extend the shelf life. So we have all those flavors today. We have like a peanut butter chocolate caramel, double coated caramel, salted chocolate, and lemon meringue. And we did launch a savory like a couple years ago, but we're relaunching it. But I can't say with what company because NDA, but it's gonna be a good one.
NDA, NDA. But on that point, I mean that's kudos to you for just go walking in straight away. Because a lot of times what happens is when I speak with founders, they're like, "Yeah, I call like 10, or I sent 10 emails to manufacturers, I never heard back, so I don't think this is gonna work out." I guess what will your advice be in that situation to founders that are complaining about MOQs being too high, or they're not able to find the right manufacturer?
I would say if you're in Ontario, work with Omafra, the government of Ontario. They have a really good. I wish I could find the website, but they have a whole program for people starting up food businesses, and that has been a great resource for us. Um, So working with the government and getting you access to like, but again, you just need to be persistent. Like there's no magic formula, unfortunately, for working with these guys. But just try to make it personal. Try to go in person, sit down with them, so they can feel your energy. And because it's always easier in person. Everything's always better in person. So if you can get a location and an address and get a meeting, that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. So then, for example, when you decided to take you guys on, what was kind of that process to your first store in the end, basically?
So we also had found our distributor at the time. That was the Neal brothers. So Peter and Chris Neal, they now own John Luca Neal. So it's combined with John Luca from out west. So they heard my story and they were like, we want to take you guys on. So we had the distributor, and then someone introduced me to this woman named Sherry at Sobeys, and she runs the local program. My friend who runs a Mercanti Foods in Hamilton, he's got a lasagna. They do lasagnas. But anyway, so he was a friend, and he introduced me. So that's how I got linked up with this woman named Sherry. She was amazing. She was like the loveliest person to work with. And so you start local, but you have to sell the product into all the stores yourself. You have to like, it's not just automatically in the stores. You have to like get the owner or the buyer and then convince them. Then they want you to support it with demos. So it is like, it's very busy. It's a very busy program, like, and it's, a lot of effort. And then once we got that local, then we got our listing. So because we did the local program where it's like calling and all that stuff, your own, and then yeah, we passed that, so now we have a listing in Sobeys and
Definitely.
all the Ontario stores. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So like I guess what changed with the way you were kind of I guess pitching the product from let's say 0 to 100 stores to like 100 to like 1,000 plus? Like did you see
Yeah.
changes? I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we did. So we started with Sobeys, that was our first big chain, and then Metro, which is doing really well. We're also in TJX stores, and that's because I met the buyer at a trade show, and she was from Hamilton, and so she knew my story, and that really helped scale our product across the country. So it sells everywhere, like from like east to west coast, and also with Indigo, the bookstore. So it's not just grocery that we're in; it's different kinds of stores.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And what I guess what do you think is one misconception that founders have about let's say when they crack their first big store? Because it could be financial miscalculations or it could be other things. Like what do you think are some of the I guess misconceptions that people have when they land their first large deal?
I think you gotta know that it's your job to get it off the shelf. You can get it on the shelf, work with the buyer, but they aren't gonna want to keep you in the store if you don't like invest in marketing and like whether that's in person, like demoing or flyers or something like that. Because if it's just the grocery business is really in real estate, right? So like every spot on that shelf is valuable to them. And so if that spot isn't making them money, then they don't want that product, right? So you really have to make sure to get it off and just try to get to know like the grocery managers and they're so they're not like the happiest people in the world sometimes because they're so busy and like they're just inundated with work and they're hard to get a hold of, but just try to be nice to them.
Yeah, it pays to be nice. It pays to be nice for
Yeah.
sure. Um, and if I'm not mistaken, I guess your brand name has it always been Comebacks Nice, or was it a different name? I think it was Cons and Kernels.
Yeah, it used to be called Cons and Kernels, and I did that because I wanted to I did a survey inside prison and I asked like the inmates like which ones should I do? Like which name do you like? And then that was the most popular name. But then when I came into like the market, I realized it was kind of an alienating things, it isolated us. So in order to be more human, I had to figure out a name that could be applicable to everyone instead of just convicts, right? And that way we can also have SKU diversification. You don't just have to be kernels, right? So comeback snacks not only like painted us in a better light and made it more human, but also we were able to make different products now too.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. And I guess going from Canada to the US, I guess has there been any changes that you've had to adapt to or changes that you've seen? I guess if you talk a bit more about that, that'd be great.
Yeah, we had to. Right now, we don't really ship direct to the US. We just started with TJX, and that's like a big customer, but we actually had to stop all shipments because of the tariffs and like everything going over the border. So we don't even do like you can't order off our website and ship to the US. Whereas suppose you people used to be able to. We used to like service some arenas and stuff too, like hockey arenas, but it just became way too complicated and expensive. So we had to pull out for now, but not permanent, but just temporary, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. I guess the one part of yours, Emily, is like your story is like your moat, I guess you'd say. It's the one thing that no one can really copy per se. I guess how do you see like your story kind of scaling with you with comeback snacks? Because or do you feel like comeback snacks is going to grow even beyond the story? Kind of, I guess how do you see it?
Yeah, like we actually just did a things are happening, opportunities pop up every day that I didn't never even found imaginable. So it's hard to say like what the future will actually bring because like things have happened in like the last 2 months that like I never would have imagined and I never planned for. But which is really cool. So I was on another podcast and someone at a food group in the US was listening to it and they work for the corrections industry. And so now we just finished doing a brand licensing deal in the US. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like I could have never imagined that. I didn't even know that was a thing. So now we have this whole other avenue of what we can do with the brand. And I did option my movie rights, which is cool. Maybe a feature film coming out soon. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's amazing. And I want to shift a bit more to sort of, talking a bit more about, someone that's, let's say, coming from a criminal background. What are some of the misconceptions that I guess people have about, let's say they're looking to hire someone from a criminal background?
Hmm.
Because you've done a lot of advocacy within that space.
Yeah, fair chance hiring. Yeah. So there's a study that was done by John Howard, and they interviewed all these employers who had hired people with records. and and people without records. And they came to the conclusion after surveying a decent number of employers that people that had criminal backgrounds performed just as good, or if not even better, than people without. So it's like, because you have so much to lose, right? And you just want to be given that chance. So you're often more likely to actually stick with that job and perform well, because you don't know if you're going to be able to get another one. So the loyalty is really there for sure. And I think another misconception is like, oh, people are going to steal or whatever. And you just have to look at it on a case by case basis. I mean, every person is different, right? So you can't paint everyone with the same brush. And I understand that some environments are different than other, like say for certain charges, like if kids or something, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to be working at a school, but most people are in prison for like financial crimes, right? So financial or violent or drugs kind of. But most people are not violent. Like the women, especially, I can't talk about men. I know, like, but there wasn't that much violence, and yeah, and I've hired people in the past, over the past 6 years, and they've all been awesome. They've all been great, and we still have some people from like day one, so it's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And also, if I'm not mistaken, I think you did some advocacy to reduce the from 800 to $550. I think that was the bail.
Yeah, yeah, I worked with Pam Demoff on that. She was the MP at the time.
Amazing,
Yeah,
amazing,
so we worked
amazing.
on that together. Yeah, and I also worked on the federal framework to reduce recidivism, and so I was like a person that they studied and talked to about my experience, so they could reform the policy.
So, do you find that the stigma is just from on a company to company level, or there's still sort of barriers from the government that still need to be kind of worked on?
I think it's definitely from company to company, but there are changes. There's a organization called Fair Chances, and they've really been opening up people's eyes to it and just getting it out there. The US is way more ahead of us. Like we're definitely behind, but US also has a major institutionalization problems. But yeah, so it's definitely slower in Canada. I think it also has a lot to do with insurance in Canada. So it's more expensive to hire someone with a record. And so a lot of times companies don't want to do it because it's a financial thing.
From what I'm mistaken, I think you're running something called Comeback Catalyst right now as well.
Yes, yes, we co-founded that 2 years ago, a year and a half ago.
Amazing. So did that come out of that space where you wanted to kind of provide more opportunities, I'm guessing, to people with a criminal background?
Yeah, because I really saw like how creative people were in prison. Like there's an entire prison economy. So it's like if you can be creative inside prison, you can be creative outside prison and use all of your traits, like transform your hustle to become your own entrepreneur and generate your own income. And then that, because income is a part of recidivism, right? So a lot of people commit crimes for survival. But if you can generate your own income, then you're less likely to reoffend. And so like we had one guy, he just like he owned a golf cart or something. And he bought like a plow, and he's like the busiest, like then he plowed people's driveways and stuff when we got the blizzard. And so it's something simple like that. Like you don't have to invest in all these like really expensive, like you're not making an app or something like that. Like, but you're just finding ways to generate your income for yourself and start your own company.
Yeah, sometimes the simplest stuff can actually generate the most amount of money instead of trying to build the next AI app with this amount of funding and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you'd say most of your team individuals that have a criminal background, or kind of what does that split look like?
So my business partner does not have one. And we're a pretty small internal team of five, and then I hire people that have records for like sales and doing events and stuff like that. So giving out samples or doing demos, like demos at grocery stores. So when you see people like giving out samples there, helping me with marketing, and, like going to events and just like when we went down to the Blue Jays game, we're just giving out samples, right? So, but yeah, it's awesome. And then the government actually has like funding for it, the SDF grant. So I've been able to work with a company called Spotwork, who I get my funding subsidized to hire people.
Amazing, amazing,
Yeah,
amazing, amazing. That's incredible. I mean, the fact that you're running a successful popcorn brand and at the same time doing this kind of advocacy, kudos to you on that for sure.
thanks.
I guess moving towards the end of the conversation, what do you know now about getting into Canadian grocery? Could be the buyers, it could be the distributors, it could be the sort of the operational requirements that like you wish you could have told yourself, back then, when you started off.
It's all a volumes game, and I think it's good to have mixed sources of where you're making your money, because if you just think, "Oh, I'm gonna sell all my products at grocery stores," you don't know that for sure. So for us, we sell it to, like, hotels too, so try to, like, sell it to different channels, and then that way you have, like, variable different kinds of income. Not different kinds of income, but income from different channels. So, I would say it's not like the big grocery for us hasn't been, like, what's built our company, right? It's been all those different channels.
And what's been like a surprising channel that you never thought would actually be this good for you guys, but it's actually been really good for you?
Surprising one. Well, I was not Indigo. I knew Indigo would sell because books and like we sell at like shops like the CN Tower and like marquee locations like airports. We sell there. That's pretty fun. So I mean concessions. It's kind of like the where the Raptors play. We sell there, right? But I think that's kind of a because Raptors always want to make comeback. People buy comeback snacks, so it's people love it as a the concession. So I think it's nice to see it there. But yeah,
Yeah, definitely, definitely, and especially as you mentioned, yeah, I mean, any kind of I'm sure also when the Leafs were playing, that also may have been a that's also kind of a comeback story.
Leafs always need their comebacks. Finish 20.
100%, 100%, 100%. Um, and I guess one question I always like to ask at the end is that, let's say you're a new CPG founder, what will be some of the things that you would do in the first 30 days to set yourself up really for success for the long run?
And make sure you have a good product. I mean, you can sell into all the stores, but if people don't like your product, like focus on the product and make sure it's good. Like if my store is great, but if I had crap product, then it wouldn't go very far, right? So you really have to have a great, great product.
And yeah, I mean, of course, you took the time as well while you were in prison to actually, and then after as well to refine the product. And I think that's
Yes.
also, and of course, your tenacity, hustle, all that kind of stuff is the reason why you guys have been so successful. Yeah.
It's in a
Congratulations
grind
to
for
us.
sure.
Yeah, definitely. And looking forward to seeing you guys at Walmart as well soon. Really looking forward to that.
Yes, coming in
Yeah.
hot.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. But yeah, Emily, it was great chatting. Thanks a lot for taking the time
You're welcome.
and looking forward to this reaching the audience as well soon.